I can still vividly recall the moment my sister-in-law, Victoria, stepped foot inside my beachfront home for the first time. Her eyes sparkled with that familiar glint I had learned to dread, the one that always signaled chaos was on the horizon. My name is Emma Anderson, 34 years old, and this is the story of how my cherished vacation retreat turned into the stage for an unbelievable family betrayal. Oh my goodness, Emma, this place is beyond perfect. Victoria gushed, twirling dramatically in the middle of my freshly renovated open-plan living area. The expansive glass walls framed a breathtaking view of the Pacific Ocean, and every piece of the serene, modern coastal design I had agonized over created the exact tranquil haven I had dreamed of for years. I should probably mention that I had poured my soul into earning this house. When my parents died in a tragic car crash at age 25, I channeled all my grief into growing my technology consulting firm from scratch. This beach house was my hard-won prize after countless 80-hour weeks, missed holidays, and relentless hustle. Every single detail, the hand-selected marble surfaces, the bespoke reclaimed wood staircase, was a monument to my struggle and success. My husband James, Victoria's older brother, understood exactly what this property meant to me. He had stood by me through every late-night deadline and high-stakes deal that made it possible. Though we lived mainly in the city for work, this was our sacred refuge, our escape from everything. Victoria, by contrast, had never held a proper job in her 28 years. She floated through life on her wealthy fiancé, Richard's credit cards, and generous allowances from my in-laws. Still, I tried to be gracious. She was family, after all. Thank you, Victoria. We only finished the renovations a month ago, I said, watching her trail her flawless manicure across my custom shelving. Emma, she began, spinning toward me with that syrupy smile she always used when she was about to ask for the world. You know my wedding is in 3 months, right? I nodded warily, already sensing the direction this was heading. Victoria had been orchestrating her perfect wedding for nearly a year, each new idea more over the top than the last. Well, the venue we booked just fell through, can you imagine? They claim some structural problem. Totally incompetent, she huffed, then gestured grandly around the room. But the second I saw this house, it's absolutely made for it. The ceremony on the sand, cocktails on the deck, reception right here, it would be magical. Please, Emma? You'd literally be saving my wedding. I paused. The house was certainly big enough, but 200 plus guests, catering, furniture moving, and the inevitable wear and tear? After everything I just put into the renovation? I'm not sure, Victoria. That's a huge event, and we only just finished, please. She pressed her palms together theatrically. I'll organize everything. You won't have to do a thing. Richard's family will pay for absolutely all of it. It would mean the world to me. James, who had stayed quiet until then, rested a hand on my shoulder. It might be nice, Em. And it would really help Tori out of a bind. I looked at my husband's gentle, hopeful face and his sister's pleading expression and felt myself soften. Maybe I was being overly territorial. What were families for, if not to support each other in a crisis? Fine, I relented. But we have to agree on strict rules first. Victoria let out a piercing squeal and flung her arms around me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the best sister-in-law in history. You will not regret this. How painfully naive I was to believe her. The following 3 months became a relentless storm of wedding preparations. True to her promise, Victoria brought in a fleet of planners, florists, designers, and coordinators. But almost immediately things started slipping. She began appearing at the beach house without warning, trailing vendors behind her like a bridal entourage. Whenever I questioned the constant traffic, she brushed me off. Don't stress, Emma, it's all handled. Then came the temporary alterations. Without ever asking my permission, she had workmen remove my artwork, repaint entire walls in her chosen palette, and swap out light fixtures for crystal chandeliers. When I finally lost my temper, she looked at me like I was the unreasonable one. Emma, come on, we have to make the space photo ready. Honestly, these upgrades are doing you a favor, you should be thanking me. James, forever soft on his little sister, tried to smooth things over. She's just caught up in the excitement, babe. Nothing permanent. Yet something about the triumphant little smirk she wore whenever she thought I wasn't looking made my stomach twist. 2 weeks before the big day, I stopped by the house unexpectedly to sign for a delivery. I heard her voice floating down from the upstairs balcony, assuming she was alone. Yes, it's all falling into place, she was saying into her phone. Once the deed is recorded, the house is legally ours. Emma is completely clueless. Richard's attorney took care of every detail. We'll announce it at the reception, by then it'll be too late for her to fight it. My heart froze in my chest. What deed? What attorney? I immediately phoned Sarah Matthews, the lawyer who had handled every piece of paperwork for the beach house since purchase. Sarah, can you pull the title and check for any recent filings, transfers, anything at all under my name? Sarah rang me back within the hour, her tone grave. Emma, get to my office now. You need to see this in person. Spread across her desk were quitclaim deeds, gift letters, and transfer documents, all bearing what looked like my signature, gifting the entire property to Victoria and Richard as a wedding present. The forgeries were good, but not perfect. This is fraud, I whispered, shaking with rage. She can't just steal my house. She can try, Sarah replied calmly. And if those documents hit the recorder's office unchallenged, it could tie the title up in court for years. We have to play this very carefully. For the next fortnight, I pretended everything was fine. I smiled through Victoria's increasingly smug visits while secretly gathering evidence, security footage, timestamps of unauthorized entries, recordings from the new whole house system I'd had installed during renovation. Sarah lined up witnesses, froze any pending filings, and coordinated with authorities. The wedding day dawned flawless, clear skies, gentle waves, the house draped in white roses and fairy lights exactly as Victoria had demanded. The beach ceremony was picture perfect. Then, as 200 guests settled into the transformed living room for the reception, Victoria seized her moment. She tapped her champagne flute and stood, radiant in her designer gown. Everyone, may I have your attention? Richard and I have a wonderful surprise. The room quieted. As you can see, we're celebrating in the most stunning home imaginable. What most of you don't know is that this is now officially our home. My incredible sister-in-law Emma has gifted us this magnificent property as our wedding gift. Polite applause rippled through the crowd. My in-laws beamed. James turned to me, bewildered. I rose slowly, smoothing my dress, heart hammering, but voice perfectly steady. Actually, Victoria, I have a surprise of my own. On cue, Sarah entered the room flanked by 2 uniformed police officers and 2 FBI agents in plain clothes. Thanks to the comprehensive security system I installed, I continued, every conversation you had in this house about forging my signature, every meeting with the notary you bribed, every phone call boasting about stealing my property. It's all recorded in high definition. Victoria's face drained of color. Victoria Thompson, the lead agent, announced, "You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit real property fraud, forgery of deed instruments, and related offenses." Pandemonium erupted. Victoria shrieked, "This is my wedding," as officers cuffed her, her priceless couture gown pooling around the metal bracelets like a fallen meringue. Richard looked as though he'd been punched in the soul. His prominent legal family immediately began damage control whispers in the corner. James found me later amid the chaos, face ashen. "Emma, I had no idea she would go this far. I am so sorry." I took his hand. "I know you didn't. But from now on, family gets boundaries, clear ones." The fallout was gloriously messy. Victoria took a plea, felony charges reduced, 2 years probation, court-ordered therapy, and 6-figure restitution for the damage and legal fees. Richard canceled the marriage before the ink on the arrest report was dry. My in-laws aged 10 years overnight. James and I spent the next month stripping out every trace of Victoria's improvements, repainting, rehanging art, swapping fixtures, until the house felt like ours again. One quiet evening, watching the sunset from the deck we had reclaimed, James asked, "You could have shut it all down weeks earlier. Why let the wedding happen at all?" I smiled into my wine glass. Because some people only learn when the lesson is public, undeniable, and impossible to spin. She needed to crash in front of everyone she was trying to impress. The ocean rolled in, steady and indifferent. My beach house stood behind us, peaceful, restored, undeniably mine. A reminder that no scheme, no forgery, no amount of entitlement can ever outweigh honest work and the courage to stand up for what you've earned. Epilogue: Victoria's arrest splashed across local society pages and killed whatever socialite dreams she had left. She took an entry-level job, the first real one of her life, started intensive therapy for entitlement and impulse control, and is still paying me monthly restitution. James and I came out stronger. Better communication, ironclad boundaries with his parents, and a deeper appreciation for what we've built together.